USIBC for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to interact with all of you. Thank you, Senator John Condine, for your warm words. India truly looks forward to further strengthening the relations between the US and India. At the outset, I would like to wish all of you a very happy and prosperous Navratri celebrations over the next 9 days that we are starting today. It basically symbolizes the victory of good over evil. And it's the start of the festival season in India. I'd like to convey my best wishes to all of you and your families in the US, in India, who have joined us. And I pray for your good health and prosperity. In fact, I also pray that we win over this war against the virus very soon. Today is also another very important milestone. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has completed 20 years of uninterrupted public service as the head of a duly elected democratic government, first as Chief Minister of Gujarat from 7th of October 2001 until May of 2014, and since then for the last 7.5 years as the Prime Minister of India. His untiring efforts have accorded India a very special status in the global economy, global community of nations. The world now looks at India as a reliable and trusted partner and a driving force of the world economy. The USIBC, and if I may say, you represent unity, you represent strength, you represent inclusion, you represent bold businesses and a commitment towards this US-India relationship. It has acted as a bridge to build and continue to reinvigorate this partnership for the last 46 years. Over 2,000 US companies who are successfully running operations in India are testimony to this time-tested friendship. My compliments to the USIBC for all the wonderful work you have done and for the theme of today's interaction, from recovery to resurgence. It very aptly describes today's situation. Our relationship has developed to a global strategic partnership based on our convergence on bilateral, regional, and global issues. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Joe Biden have been proactive in strengthening this relation. The visit of Prime Minister Modi to the US earlier last month for the Quad Leaders Summit was very fruitful. In fact, their very first in-person meeting. 5 T's, in a way, define the Quad and the relationship that we are building up. Tradition, talent, trade, technology, and trusteeship. As President Biden said, together, the US and India must show the world that our two great and diverse democracies can deliver for people everywhere. This close partnership between the US and India is central to a free, open, inclusive, and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. COVID-19 pandemic highlighted that supply chains should not be based only on cost, but rely heavily on trust. India wants to focus in areas where it has a competitive advantage to become a bigger stakeholder in global value chains. The increasing trust deficit amongst some geographies in the post-COVID world calls for a resilient India-US partnership. India, recognized as a major defense partner of the US, can also become a big market for the US companies. Multiple dialogues across areas of energy, health, trade, and innovation can help us work together for improving our business to business engagement and, of course, providing to the people of both countries opportunities and better services. India and the US are working together to build resilient supply chains in advanced technology areas, but we need to explore several more areas. Today, India has attracted the attention of the world. We are the most attractive destination for investment, with FDI flows into India growing year on year for the last 8 years. We have played the role of the pharmacy of the world and are helping countries bring down healthcare costs. The world is looking towards India for its openness, opportunity, and growth. Our theme at the World Expo 2020 in the UAE. We are currently negotiating free trade agreements and comprehensive economic partnerships with like-minded nations like Australia, the EU, UK, UAE, amongst others. We have focused on strengthening 24 sectors of the Indian manufacturing economy where we have competitive and comparative edge over other countries. We do believe that we are looking at a national infrastructure pipeline which will provide huge opportunities of over 1.4 trillion US dollars, boosting investments in infrastructure for which we have provided an enabling environment with more liberal foreign direct investment rules. We have reduced corporate tax to amongst the lowest in the world. We have a very simplified tax regime, a single window clearance mechanism for all approvals, a huge land bank of available land to set up manufacturing bases or industrial clusters. We have removed and sorted out legacy issues of the past, like the retrospective income tax law, and in fact are today encouraging invention and innovation, research and development. And our entrepreneurs are setting new records. Today, we have the world's third largest startup ecosystem, boasting over 60 unicorns, of which more than 20 became unicorns in the last 6 months. We have introduced the production-linked incentive scheme to encourage large-scale manufacturing in India of high-quality products at affordable and competitive prices. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's decisive leadership, India today is set on the path of Atmanirbhar Bharat, a self-reliant India, an India that works with other countries from a position of strength as an equal for reciprocal benefits. We are not closing the doors of India to world engagement. In fact, we are opening them wider so that we can expand the two-way trade, increase engagement both through businesses and at the people-to-people level, both in merchandise and in services. Encourage investments across nations, from the US to India, from India to the US, and with the rest of the world. We are leapfrogging from Make in India to to make in India for the world. We are strengthening our domestic industry and will, in the future, strengthen scale and the quality of production in India, along with our cost competitiveness. Brand India conveys innovation, intention, and the true image of the new India being crafted under Prime Minister Modi. I think the roadmap for the future relations between the US and India has moved from addressing the problems of the pandemic to climate change, to partnership in innovation, technology, defense, strategic ties, boosting the service sector, the IT sector, and several more areas where together the US and India has a leadership role to play. We have to leverage our complementary strengths on technology, finance, production, supply, and the emerging startup ecosystem with fintechs, edtech, health services playing a lead role. Our cooperation in space also has tremendous potential. Low-cost space vision, sharing satellite data to monitor climate change, disaster response, and our preparedness to mitigate problems of the future are some areas of mutual cooperation. Electronic manufacturing, pharma and healthcare, biotechnology, all of these also hold tremendous potential. Ladies and gentlemen, India looks at the US of A as our natural ally, and together, through our shared vision, we can truly become partners of progress for the prosperity of people both in India and the United States of America. My warmest wishes and regards to all of you on this program today. I pray for your good health, safety, and well-being. Namaste. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, for those very compelling and persuasive remarks. In the little time we have, I thought I might pick up on a couple of points that you made. One was wonderful to hear of the vigorous activity you have on the trade agreement front, and you mentioned interest in working with like-minded countries. So between the US and India, the current trade is now at a very healthy, about 148 billion of trade. You yourself have recently raised the ambition of mutual trade, which is very important because all these things start with raising ambition. In this, it's also great to hear that the Trade Policy Forum is going to be revived, which has been a very productive forum for conversation and mutual understanding. So on this overall, I wanted to ask whether you could share with us your view on a trade agreement and or bilateral trade priorities. Where do you see convergence between the US and India, and what are the ingredients from your point of view for successful, fair, and transparent trade deal between the two countries?
Arun Kumarji, India and the US have huge complementarities. We don't really have any competition between the two. We can collaborate on so many areas, some of which I listed earlier, and really strengthen each other's economies. The US has huge investment surpluses, which can be used in India for promoting infrastructure investments, also to make India a manufacturing base to help you grow your economy, to help provide goods and services to you at affordable, competitive prices. For example, India can bring down the US healthcare costs very, very significantly. We can help you bring your technology, your innovation, your new research outcomes, produce them in India at very competitive prices, leveraging on our manpower, our skilled manpower. In fact, Indians are working all over the world in very leadership top roles in corporates. They're working in NASA. They're working in R&D across the world. There's huge pool of talent in India. Leveraging that, the US can benefit significantly. We, on our part, have significant products and services to offer to the US, which are needed by the US economy. Apart from pharmaceutical products and healthcare, we can provide trained paramedical people. We are providing many technical people in the software side in different areas where we are already collaborating in a big way. Our textiles, our gem and jewelry, our leather products, all of these hold tremendous potential in the US and can help both Indian economy and the US economy support each other on equitable and fair terms. India, as I said, is a trusted partner and ally of the US. And I do believe that going forward, it is in the interests of both countries to strengthen our strategic partnership into a more comprehensive economic and trade partnership also.
No, thank you, Mr. Minister. If I might pick up on a topic that was not part of your remarks, this is about the states. Prime Minister Modi, from the beginning, has encouraged a cooperative and competitive federalism, actually starting with his own experience in building a competitive state. And the states, in that view, would be the engines of development. So, what is your vision of where Indian states can grow, and what do they need to prioritize in terms of a reform-oriented focus? Your own ministry has taken a lead in the whole ease of doing business, promoting competitiveness between states. So, any thoughts that you would like to share with us? The USIBC has focused on state-level engagement because US industry needs to be connected with the state governments. Would love to hear from you.
Arunji, by and large, this has been a government which has focused largely on reforms. In fact, our mantra is reform, transform, and perform. And over the last 7.5 years, Prime Minister Modi has worked on a twin track, making it easier to do business through reforms on the business front, improving the lives of the poorest of the poor so that the marginalized sections of society have a better quality of life, which we call ease of living. We have been working on creating that enabling environment and expanding our infrastructure so that the foundation of a strong economy and the foundations to strengthen our manufacturing base are developed. Simultaneously, in terms of healthcare, in terms of promoting innovation, our startups, in terms of our strides in financial inclusion, in ensuring quality of life for the people of India, rapid progress has been made in the last 7 years. States have to join in these efforts and have a very important role to play. By and large, they are aligned with the central government policies. And while we may have our political differences with some states, center and the states work hand in hand to implement these policies, bring the reforms on the ground for the benefit of businesses and people. There are several subjects which are also on the concurrent list where we have to work together, like labor, where the role of the states is very, very critical. We are constantly in dialogue with the states to identify the gaps in policies and infrastructure and logistics planning so that we can improve the competitiveness to do business in states. We are ranking them for ease of doing business, ranking them for their support to encourage new businesses, to encourage startups. In fact, we recently had a week which was called Vanijya Saptah, Commerce Week, where events were organized all over the country in partnerships with the states and where every district of the country participated. So it's a very collaborative effort, and Prime Minister Modi very strongly believes center and states have to work together for eventually reaching progress and prosperity to the people of India.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. So I think that brings us to the end of our session. You covered a wide range and you packed a lot of material into your comments. So, Piyush, thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Lovely talking to you.